Alright guys, here we are again. I'm calling this one Magenta Sunset. Let's go. Cover most of your canvas with a thin layer of white paint. This is just going to help you blend once you get into more colors in your sky. So you can see I'm staying away from the yellow here. I'm taking a bit of that paint off. Come back in with that same brush. I'm not getting it wet, I think I'm just taking off excess paint on a paper towel. And then just kind of blur the edges together. This is to make your sunset nice and blurry and soft. Now I'm coming in with a stippling brush and I'm just adding some of that bright pink. As you can see, I'm staying away from that yellow because I'll come back in a minute and blur them together. And I'm just kind of using that part of the painting to get rid of this excess on my brush. And here I think I just cleaned my brush and I'm coming back in with a just clean brush with no paint on it. Here's a fan brush and it's dry. And I'm just coming in and moving that paint around a little bit, pushing it around. And again with the clean, dry fan brush, just try and blend some of that pink and that white together. And I'm staying away from the yellow. I haven't touched it since the very beginning. Just blending. Here's a dry, soft, bristled brush. I'm coming in again and just blending and blending. Once you get done here, you are done with that part of the painting. You don't come back in. So it's important to blend it now while it's still maneuverable. I'm coming back in with this darker purple. As you can see, I'm kind of filling in the spaces and staying away from the edges of the pink part. This is so the purple doesn't overwhelm the pink. I'm going to keep those light parts light. I'm bringing it in a little bit. And that's black paint. This is for more of your foreground. And I'm leaving the background alone right now. It looks a hot mess, but it'll get better. It's just a little bit too wet right now for me to blend with a dry brush like I intend to. Here's my dry brush. And I'm going back in between the pink and the purple and trying to blend it together. I should have done this a little bit sooner. You can see it's not quite pushing around as much as I want it to. I'm trying to blur those edges. Doesn't matter a whole lot because you're going to cover a lot of this background with your trees. See, I'm trying to push that paint together. This is just still your dry, soft bristled brush. Guess I wanted to blend that out. Here's my stippling brush, and this is black, and this is just the impression of some shapes of some trees in the background that we can build off of. It doesn't have to be perfect, just make it look like, like shrubs, basic shapes. I believe I'm loading up a oh no. Coming back in. This is that dark purple, and I'm just putting it on the top of a couple of these little spots to give it a little bit more dimension and blur it out a little bit more. And then bring the color down. Give the impression of where I want to put some bushes and stuff. And here, come in and make your trees. Then paintbrush with some black paint. Put them in wherever you want. Just commit. Because once you do this, you can't go back. This is where your trees live. I'm doing some branches off of the top and the sides of them. Again, don't worry too hard about this because we're going to end up putting some foliage and leaves and stuff over these branches. And these colors, once it dries, it's going to look a little bit different. Come in with a fan brush. This is a darker purple, and just kind of flick your fan brush around and make some shapes with some trees here. And once this paint dries, it won't be as reflective and you won't have that glare. It's just still wet. I believe this is just a clean stippling brush, and I'm just blending all of this together. I'm making a little hill right there. Here I'm doing some medium highlights. It's not the brightest, we'll get into that later, but you're just giving these trees some depth right now. And see that the dark paint is still pretty wet, so it's not really letting me get any highlights. So I'm going to leave those trees alone for a second and let that paint dry. Here's your highlights. Boom. Bright pink. And just put little bushes in here and there. Down here. You can sort of just roll your round stippling brush around and it'll have organically highlights in certain spots. Pretty cool. And then blur out some of the edges. You want to put a little path in there. I'm coming in with the highlights. This is white. Fan brush. Just tap on each of those little spots and you got your highlights. Highlight your bushes. Make your path and just blur it out a little bit, barely touching the canvas right here. And take a look at it and see. You can highlight some of your branches and stuff if you want to. For the most part, this is going to be it. So that's it, guys. Have fun and subscribe so you don't miss the next one.